So here, if you see, this is some research done by this lady. I just wanted to bring this in a little later, but if you see all those white regions, right? The white regions on the map, these are actually the places which are most heavily entrenched in the religious kind of caste system.
Wait, we need to
Right?
first read the caption. So the caption by Alice says, percentage of Indian women who report that they had a say in
Choosing their husband.
choosing their husband. Okay, so basically the darker parts are they had a choice. The
Yeah.
white parts they had no choice.
So I come from the place where there's about 80 to 100% choice for women. So this is as fundamental as choosing their husband. That's like the biggest life decision people generally make. So it's very profoundly striking. That, I mean, it shows how much of a difference is there in the country. And if you see those white regions, those are areas which have which are heavily, what do you say? So this is
Misogyn,
yeah,
sexist,
misogynist. Yeah,
patriarch. Okay, so Uttar Pradesh, which is like one of the most religious parts in India, right?
right,
You can see
right.
that that's very white. So here,
Yes,
like you can see, like this is exactly what you expect. The more religious province is, the less of a say women have. I mean, I'm not saying this proves it, but this is what you would expect. Like, so for people like who say maybe religious views doesn't have a much impact on people's average daily lives, you could see, for example, again, I'm not saying this proves it, but this is what you expect in some very religious places. Women have less say.
yeah,
Doesn't this show
yeah,
that? Okay, okay.
yeah. Yes. There's a very very strong correlation, but you also see that what do you say? There's a huge difference between South India and North India. There's also a huge difference between these other areas. So when your criticism is generally marked at India, right? The thing is that all these people aren't going to come on board because they don't relate to it directly, right? So
Right,
they're
right.
going to,
I don't
yeah.
think I ever generalize all of
No, I'm
India.
saying,
Yeah,
focused
yeah,
on, say,
yeah.
it's sort of I mean, for us, it feels like cultural imperialism in a sense, because we're coming from a colonial past, right? So even in our semantics, we sort of keep judging that a little bit. But what generally, see, Uttar Pradesh by itself, Pradesh and Bihar, those two states are just by themselves, or are about 20% of India's population, 25% of India's population, right? That's
Wow.
one fourth. Yeah, that's huge. And that 25% is equivalent to the population of the United States, right? So the fact
Wow.
that the fact that you know enough about every state of the United States, but you don't know enough about this particular pocket of India, means that's how little you care about India, right? It's a
Yeah, but
huge
that's why
country.
I say that's why in our live streams I say that we need to pay more attention to India because
True, true.
the laws passed in India affects way more people than the laws passed in most other
Absolutely.
countries, right? That's why I
Absolutely.
always say that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's one of the reasons why I'd say that you should probably take a little more effort into dissecting the entire country into smaller sections where your criticism becomes a little more to the point, right? On point.
Nuanced. Yeah.
Yeah, more nuanced. For example, if you say you could say the Gangetic belt, or a lot of people actually use the word the cow belt, right? For example, there's no cow vigilantism in South, but there is a little in the North, right? So and also there is no Hindu-Muslim violence, not to as much to, I mean, not to such a large extent in the South as it is in the North. And I also we'll come to all of that as we go a little further, right? So I just wanted to bring you to this because it sort of came into the conversation. But this is something that is going to be the theme of this entire call anyway, right? This particular
Okay.
chart, right? So caste is more of a feudal construct in most of India, right? So that's something that you have to even up in the north also. It's partially that, and it is partially a thing about Hinduism, right? So it's always like scripture, right? There is something to human behavior, or like, you know, anthropology of things, and then you take scripture and you legitimize it to a certain extent, right? So that's what happens
But
in these regions.
another problem is that given that these white areas, right, it might be very different from those darker areas, but they are responsible for voting people in power that affects even the
Absolutely.
people in the darker
Absolutely.
area.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I'll come to that topic also, right? But I just like in passing, so that because we have very short time. Okay, so the next thing about I'll talk about castes is that most of India, like for example, again, I'm making this even applies to the north as well. We forget the fact that the world was a monarchy. I mean, everything is run through monarchies before democracy, and you also had a very feudal reality. It's like you're in a Western society, and you suddenly forget that this is how the universe operated, right? And then the democracy happened, enlightenment happened, all these happened, and life changed. But if you're going to analyze history, then you have to take that into account, right? So a significant number of kings were like mere uprisings of chieftains, right? Chieftains as in small tribal chiefs and so on. So who actually, so for example, I come from this caste called the Reddys, right? And they don't fit into the official caste system, but we are forward caste from the sense that it is technically considered upper caste, right? But again, so the Reddys had a small kingdom a long time ago for a century or so, like in the 1300s, right? And then they lost power and they got distributed within the state. And they also served as generals to a few larger kingdoms later on.
So what is the significance about these people?
I'm just giving you my frame of reference, right? This is my surname. So, and the caste is also something that people identify with. So it's like an identity, right? So I belong to so-and-so tribe. I belong to so-and-so tribe. But the thing is, if you see these guys, they didn't belong to the caste system. But eventually, when they had power, they took the niche of Kshatriyas or the warriors, right? So they didn't have power, they gained power, and they took the niche of the Kshatriyas.
Kind of similar to how the Parsis were not part of the caste system, but when they came to India, they kind of were treated like upper caste.
Kinda true. That's very true. And also, the caste system is very prevalent throughout, right? So it's a social reality. It's not a religious reality. At least that's one of the reasons why in India.
Can we not separate these two? Religious reality, religion.
You keep them together.
Religious reality is intertwined with economic reality and social reality and cultural reality. But there's no clear line between how you could cut them. They impact each other. They influence each other.
I agree. But what I'm saying is that, like, for example, although it's the theme of the channel to focus on religion, right? But the thing is, if you want to look at it more objectively, it's that the first reason is anthropology, right? So it's like it's a social reality, and it's a social problem.
Religion is a social reality.
Of course it is. But I'm saying what I'm saying is that the derivation of caste in India is pan-religious, and it is also it's a South Asian, and I'll tell you the reasons for it. I'll actually give you objective reasons.
The way I've seen it play out in many other places is that there are some problems that could and do arise independently from religion, that even if you did eliminate religion from it, it would have arisen by itself, kind of like greed, economic issues, land issues, real estate issues. But what religion is like sticky glue. Okay, you have an original problem, and then you try to like make it flexible and get out of it. But what religion does is it comes and pours sticky glue all over it, and then it becomes much more. It's harder for you to like take it out and get rid of it. That's what religion does.
No, that is absolutely true. I think you're absolutely right in the sense that religion has its role to play. But even where religion is sort of not very prevalent, caste still exists. That's what I mean to say, right? So for example, even Muslims, right, in India, I'll tell you how modern of a phenomenon this is also. Muslims in the past, Muslims in India just took up the niche of butchers, right? People who, because Hindus have a aversion to like slaughter, right? General. I mean, any animals. So there is a general. They have an aversion to slaughter. So the dirty work for them, cutting animals, is a dirty work, right? So, but Muslims made a living off being able to do that, right? So that
Kind of
became their
like with
caste.
the Jews and finance, because usury and interest was illegal, like, or seen badly in Christianity
Yeah, you're kind of
or
right.
in
Yeah,
Islam. So they give all the finance work to the
yeah,
Jews,
yeah.
and
You're,
that's
you're
why
kind of right.
they became so good at it because they couldn't do it. So you're saying like Muslims were kind of like the Jews in India because other people didn't want to do that, right?
You're kind of right.